Welcome back, my friends. Today on the channel, we're going to do another question and answer video. Once a month on the posts tab of my YouTube channel, I'll put out a question prompt such as this one. Down below, you can ask me anything about anything, read each other's questions, and then thumbs up the ones you want me to respond to. For today's video, every question got over 100 likes. That's never happened before. So I can tell people are very engaged and they're very concerned about the direction of my government. So a lot of these questions relates to what's going on in America. So the top ranked question is from Bjorn, and this is what he asks. Hi Jake, I sit in Sweden and watch with wonder what is happening in your country. A hypothetical question. If Trump were to order the invasion of Canada, is it reasonable to believe that the American military would obey such an order? The first thing you should know is that Donald Trump fired the Joint Chiefs Chairman, and this is unprecedented. The Joint Chiefs Chairman serves a 4-year term. It's deliberately supposed to overlap the last 2 years of the previous president and then the next 2 years of the incoming president. I don't know if this has ever happened before in U.S. history, but for a president to immediately take office and then just start firing all of the top generals. So the chief of the Navy was fired, a bunch of judge advocate generals were also fired, and Donald Trump is shopping around for a military commander who will do what he tells them. MAGA hat drama could taint Trump's top military advisor pick. So this is the general that Trump fired, and he's trying to replace him with this guy. Trump's choice for the Joint Chief Chair has emerged from obscurity and also retirement to be the military's top general. But the story Trump tells about retired Lieutenant General Dan Raising Kane donning a politically affiliated ball cap when they met in Iraq in 2018 could violate military rules, muddying his confirmation process and tainting his credibility. The way Trump explains it, Kane told the president he loved him and would kill for you before slapping on a MAGA hat. So this retired lieutenant general that Trump wants to lead the Pentagon, this isn't normal. Normally you promote somebody who's, for example, chief of the Air Force or chief of the Marines or Navy. They then become the Joint Chief. But Donald Trump shopped around for somebody that was MAGA and loyal to him, who would militarily do what he tells him to do. Yeah, this is a red flag. This is concerning that this is happening. And technically, this guy still has to be confirmed by the Senate, but I don't really have a lot of faith in the United States Senate at the moment. But I think the committee hearings, which should be coming up, will be interesting once it happens. Concerning Pete Hegseth, this guy is an idiot. He doesn't know or understand anything. He's an alcoholic and a TV personality. Donald Trump picked him because he looked good on TV, and he won't push back or question anything Donald Trump says or does. So your question specifically, what would colonels, captains, staff sergeants, privates, what would individual American military members do if they were given an illegal order, such as to bomb Ottawa or Toronto? And I hate that I have to give this answer, guys. I do believe the overwhelming majority of American service members would refuse illegal orders. But we're kind of having a moment in America where people are living in a delusional alternate reality that Elon Musk and Donald Trump have created. So Trump's strength and weakness is his approval rating. If he's unpopular, people will refuse the orders. If he's popular, they'll feel pressure and they'll want to comply. So every day, Donald Trump's disapproval rating goes up and his approval rating goes down. And this is good. If we don't want military members to to follow illegal orders, for example, to invade Greenland, Panama, or Canada. Concerning all of America's top military leadership, these are all highly educated people. They all graduated from a service academy or ROTC. They've all done additional military training and development. They all have master's degrees, and some of them even have doctorates. And they've been in the military for 30 to 40 years. For America's top military leadership, time moves differently than the average American, and these people in this photograph have served honorably under 5 or 6 different presidents going back to the 90s. So for Donald Trump to show up and tell these people to invade Canada or Greenland, they're not publicly going to say anything. Publicly, they can't. It's against the UCMJ for them to publicly speak out. But behind closed doors, or even to Trump's face, they're going to refuse illegal orders. And they're going to tell their subordinates to refuse illegal orders. This is why in a dictatorship, usually the dictator puts his own son in charge of the military. But in America, we've never done that. We've never just taken 22-year-old civilians and then put them in charge of the military. That's banana republic stuff, and thankfully the United States is not there yet. Next question. Doesn't Trump notice that Putin is humiliating him? What can we do to end this Trump-Putin nightmare? And straight up, Donald Trump just loves dictators. There is not a dictator that Donald Trump has met that he didn't instantly like, that he didn't instantly start praising and saying how wonderful they are. Donald Trump said that the greatest leader in Europe right now is Viktor Orban of Hungary. Donald Trump has said nice things about Lukashenko and Belarus. Donald Trump, going back to his first term, initially he was talking tough on China. He then shared a beautiful piece of chocolate cake with Xi of China, and now Trump loves China and never says anything bad about China or Xi or anything. I mean, some of MAGA talks tough on China, but Trump specifically, since he got back into office, he loves China. He wants to work with these people. So your question about Putin, and Donald Trump just respects and admires the strength of this guy. It's the only thing that Trump cares about. So unconfirmed reports say that Vladimir Putin is the richest man in the world. Putin has been stealing the wealth of Russia for 26, 27 years, really over 30 years if you go back to his time as the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. And Donald Trump respects that this man has stolen hundreds of billions of dollars and never been caught, never been held accountable. The fact that Vladimir Putin has been in office for 26 years and he has killed, exiled, or imprisoned all of his political rivals. That is very impressive to a megalomaniac like Donald Trump. So Trump is desperate for his approval, for his praise, his flattery, and this is how Putin knows he can play Trump. Trump will give Russia real-world concessions, and the only thing Putin has to do is symbolic gestures, saying positive things about Trump in Russian state media. This report I mentioned in my video last week about the war symbols ZVO coming down in front of the American embassy in Moscow and being replaced with a hashtag saying, "We are together." Donald Trump loves that kind of stuff. So it's very easy to manipulate him, and Putin being a former Soviet KGB officer, this is what he did. Human intelligence, manipulating stupid people to get them to do what you want. This isn't going to change. The only way to change Donald Trump's opinion of Putin is for Putin to be humiliated. If Prigozhin's rebellion had succeeded, or maybe been more effective, that could have changed the opinion of Trump. But as long as Putin has an iron grip on his country and its people, Trump's never going to stop respecting that. This is horrifying to people who believe in democracy and human rights. But this is power politics. It's the only thing Donald Trump instinctively knows and understands at this point. Next question. Do you think that America will have a free and fair election in 2028, or do you think that Trump or one of his political friends will stay in place? A lot of people are concerned, will the 2026 or the 2028 elections in the United States be rigged? And at the moment, this isn't possible because we have federalism, meaning that the states, and oftentimes the individual cities or counties, are in charge of running their own elections. So the election process, the paper ballots, the machines, the times, everything in every location is different because it's set on the local level. So there is no way to rig a federal election here in the United States. You could rig an individual state. You could rig, the election maybe in North Carolina or Ohio or Arizona. But you can't do it in all 50 states. Elon Musk is working on this. Elon Musk is complaining about America's federal system because he wants to nationalize and control everything. But I still have confidence we're going to have free and fair elections in 2026. And if those go well, we're going to fight for 2028. So I don't think J.D. Vance is going to be the nominee or ever become president by getting elected, because this guy is a total weirdo. Nobody likes him. Donald Trump doesn't even like him. He has the lowest approval rating of any incoming vice president in history. We don't need to talk about J.D. Vance. He's honestly irrelevant. He's just a proxy for Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. And given that Elon Musk lives at the White House now, J.D. Vance is redundant. So this is happening. Steve Bannon has already endorsed Donald Trump to run again for a third term in 2028. This is against the Constitution. The Constitution's not going to be amended to allow this to happen, but MAGA's going to try and do it. So what's the good news? And the good news is I don't think Donald Trump is going to be alive in 4 years. I am not advocating anyone do anything to unalive him, but he is 78, obese, and he has the most stressful job in the world. Donald Trump has done some things correctly to extend his life. Famously, Donald Trump doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and being a billionaire, he's probably had pretty good health care his entire life. But he's still overweight, approaching 80, and has a terribly stressful job. So I'm pretty confident over the next 4 years he's going to have a stroke or a heart attack or serious health complications that will decommission him. And hopefully, once Trump himself is gone, there won't be a clear successor to MAGA that the base can rally around. People don't really like Eric or Don Jr. It's not going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. Elon Musk was foreign born. He can never be the nominee. So I'm hoping. We're wearing him down now. Here in America, people who care are trying their best, but we've been battling Donald Trump for over 10 years. I think for people around the world who haven't been paying attention to U.S. politics, you don't understand what it's felt like here in America, putting up with Trump and his incessant lying. He has been lying continuously for over 10 years and getting away with it because his base lives in an alternate reality where there is no truth. Next question is from Chris. Hi, Jake. It seems to me that all I hear are crickets when it comes to any blowback against the Trump regime. Where are the adults in the room? I don't understand why the past presidents and pillars of American society all seem to have retreated into their shells. Any thoughts? Concerning past presidents, that's not something you do. I know in other countries, for example, with prime ministers, Former prime ministers might speak out. But for over 200 years of American tradition, past presidents don't criticize current presidents. And I don't think Obama, Clinton, or Bush want to violate that tradition. Where is the pushback coming from the people? And we're finally getting some serious protests. I know when you see these protests, for example, in Georgia or Belgrade or Romania or Slovakia or Hungary, Europeans, you know how to protest. But a lot of Americans have forgotten. There weren't a lot of protests over the last 4 years when Biden was president. So we're slowly getting back into it. People are organizing on the local levels. And at the moment, there are lots of protests happening against Trump and what he's doing. And they're being held at Tesla dealerships. So this is a protest happening in Cherry Hill, New Jersey over the weekend. And I'll just share this with you. If you're American, I encourage you to, on the local level, figure out who's organizing protests in your area. I think there's a massive nationwide protest happening in April. It's coming up. As soon as someone gives me the details, I can promote it on this channel, and we can get more people to turn out. This needs to start consistently happening on a large scale. And there are some leaders in the Democratic Party who are taking to the road, doing what they think they can to push back against Trump. Congresswoman AOC and Bernie Sanders have been going to joint rallies together. This was a crowd of 34,000 people in Denver, Colorado. They're currently on a national tour. The VP candidate Mike Waltz is also on a national tour, once again giving speeches and trying to drum up opposition to Trump. But specifically your question, where are the adults in the room in the Republican Party? And they're all gone. Over the last 10 years, Donald Trump has been purging the Republican Party of anyone capable of independent thought or action. So Senator Mitt Romney, he was the nominee in 2012. He's retired. Trump got rid of him. Senator Bob Corker, Trump got rid of him. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, this is the daughter of the former vice president. Trump got rid of her. Adam Kinzinger, even Paul Ryan, who voluntarily retired, it's because he hated Trump and Trump hated him. Same thing with Reince Priebus, the former RNC chairman. He famously became Trump's chief of staff and Trump fired him within a year. Anyone who engages in independent or critical thinking, Donald Trump eliminates those people. So the remaining adults are the people who should be adults. Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. They know if they speak out or if they do anything contrary to what Donald Trump wants them to do, they'll just be fired. And then they're out of a job and they're completely irrelevant. There are so many Republicans over the last 10 years who talk back to Trump, and now they're excommunicado with the GOP base. They're gone. They're irrelevant. Nikki Haley, whoever, The Republican Party is a cult. It's a cult that only exists to worship one man, Donald Trump. Next question from Lauren. I'm British. Is there any mechanism that allows your system to dissolve government in the United States or individual states and call new elections? Basically, I'm thinking of perhaps a no confidence vote in either the House or the Senate. Nope. Your system of government is better. The United States, the last 200 years, has worked with other countries to help them be better democracies. The American Constitution was written almost 250 years ago, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty flawed because there weren't any other democracies around 250 years ago to learn from. So America made a lot of structural mistakes in the beginning, and we've been trying to help other countries when they set up their democracies to do better. So no, we don't have a fail-safe such as this. The only way to get rid of Trump is to impeach him, and basically Congress has to first investigate. Then the House has to vote with a majority to impeach. It then goes to trial in the Senate, and then the Senate has to, I think, vote 2/3 to impeach the president for high crimes and misdemeanors. The crimes have already been committed. Donald Trump has committed a lot of crimes just in the last 2 months, violating the Constitution and violating people's due process. But the Republicans don't want to impeach him, and the Republicans don't want to investigate him, so nothing is happening. The other way to get rid of a president is the 25th Amendment, and this has to do with if the president becomes mentally or physically incapacitated. I think this happened under Nixon or maybe it was under Reagan. Some presidents had to undergo a procedure in which they were given anesthesia, and given the nature of America's nuclear stockpile, someone always has to be in charge. So the 25th Amendment was passed recently to make sure that if the president is incapacitated, physically or mentally, his duties are transferred to the next in line. But if the president is permanently incapacitated, like a coma or something, then the cabinet can vote to remove the president. This has never happened, and honestly, it could happen in the next 4 years. We're breaking a lot of traditions. We're doing a lot of firsts here in America under Trump's second administration. So what do I want to see if I could wave my magic wand and just have stuff happen? Then I would want J.D. Vance and Donald Trump impeached. There's plenty of justifications just from the last 2 months. And then just make Mike Johnson president, Speaker of the House. I understand Mike Johnson. Maybe I don't agree with or like his policies, but he's just a generic Southern evangelical. He's really no different than George W. Bush in the 8 years that Bush was president. So it's possible. Something crazy could happen in the next 2 years, and Mike Johnson might end up being president. How can we get a not Republican president? And the Democrats need to take control of the House of Representatives. And the Republicans currently have a razor-thin majority, meaning this actually could happen at any point in the next 2 years. Currently, Republicans have 218 seats, Democrats have 213, and there's going to be 4 special elections to replace, for example, Mike Waltz left the House to become National Security Advisor. Another congressperson just died of natural causes recently. So if more Republicans resign or something happens to them, I don't know, it is possible the Democrats could take back the House before the 2026 midterms. And then they could get the impeachment process going. I don't know. The next couple of years are going to be excruciating, guys. These are not normal times. Next question. What would be the impact of the Democrats winning the midterm? So if they took back the House, they control the Speaker. The Speaker is second in line to the presidency after the Vice President. So if something is done in which the President and the Vice President are removed from office, they're impeached, then the new Speaker, who would be a Democrat, would take control of everything. But the real power, let's forget about Trump and J.D. Vance being removed from office. It's a low probability. But the real power to the Democrats winning the midterms in 2026 is controlling the chairmanships. if they control the committee chairmanships, they can launch investigations. They could issue subpoenas. They can hold hearings. They can take expert witness testimony. Nothing is happening right now in Congress. None of the committee chairmen are doing any investigations of anything because they're MAGA and they're collaborating with Trump. So if the Democrats take control of Congress in 2026, at least we can get hearings and investigations into the crimes that Trump is currently committing. Concerning the Senate, this is a wider gap. This would require Democrats picking up 4 seats in order to get the majority. And 2 things, once again, committee hearings and investigations. But if the Democrats take control of the Senate, they can just block all of Trump's judicial appointments for the next 2 years. That would be very crucial, that Donald Trump doesn't get to appoint any more judges, because I don't trust any of them. So what states could the Democrats potentially be competitive in? And if they theoretically hold all the seats they currently own, I think the Democrats could pick up in Maine, Susan Collins, potentially Montana, Ohio, Iowa, North Carolina, and Alaska. And really, it's any state that has connections or relations to Canada. If Donald Trump continues this insane path of trying to annex Canada, it's so stupid to say. But if Trump continues antagonizing Canada, I think a lot of farmers and border states are going to reject what Trump is doing, and they'll switch their votes to Democrats. So Alaska especially, Trump is crippling their economy by being hostile towards Canada. Montana, Iowa farmers, Maine, and maybe even Ohio. I think there's going to be some political shifts in these states in response to Trump's position on Canada. It also comes down to the economy, and Donald Trump is convinced that if he's just a bully to everyone, America will somehow become richer. Donald Trump doesn't view America's reputation and soft power as being valuable. He only respects hard power. So if the U.S. economy doesn't get better over the next 2 years, I think there were a lot of Americans who were persuaded by inflation under Biden was bad. The price of rent, the price of healthcare, the price of eggs kept going up. And if Donald Trump can't actually make anything better, which he won't, then yeah, there's going to be an economic revolt against the Republican Party in 2026. And this ties into the next question. Which are the U.S. companies backing Trump that we can boycott? If you're not American, just boycott them all. Boycott every American company until Donald Trump stops threatening all of our largest trading partners and allies. So these are America's largest publicly traded companies. First thing I want to say is don't travel to the United States. Don't vacation here. Don't travel here for business. Don't spend money in America. But if you want to hit America's largest companies, Apple is number 1. I know people really love their iPhones, but if you wanted to instead switch to a Samsung, South Korea would appreciate it, and this would reflect on Apple's balance sheet. Microsoft is number 3. If you can stop using any Microsoft products or paying for them the next year or 2, this will reflect in their share price. Definitely avoid Amazon. Jeff Bezos is working for Trump. Avoid Meta. This is Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp. Zuckerberg is once again working for Trump. Google is number 7, and please don't boycott Google or YouTube. Sundar Pichai is the CEO, and he's trying to stay out of politics the best he can. As a YouTuber, I don't think the platform has been unfair to me in any way. I know there are lots of YouTubers who make videos complaining about videos being demonetized, but if they show violence, then the video is going to be demonetized. These are just the rules of the platform to make them friendly to advertisers, but Because I am pro-Ukraine or anti-Russia, I've never felt any pressure or discrimination against Google or YouTube. So I'm going to defend the people who pay me. Sorry. JP Morgan Chase, don't use any American banks. And then Tesla. Tesla is now number 12, but 3 months ago, I think it was number like 4 or 5. This is a winning strategy, and we're currently doing it. If you can sell your Tesla or don't buy a Tesla, this is Elon Musk's weak point. If we can weaken Elon Musk, this will weaken Donald Trump. If we weaken Donald Trump, this will also weaken Russia. Visa and MasterCard, those are difficult products to avoid, but if you can, don't use any Visa or MasterCard products if you can avoid it. Let's see here, Netflix. Really all the streaming services. If you currently have a streaming service subscription with Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, whatever, and you think you can live without it for the next year, just cancel it. And if anyone asks you why, say Donald Trump can go F himself. We don't like dictators. Costco, that's a hard one if you love Costco. Walmart, Home Depot, Coca-Cola. If you can drink alternatives to Coca-Cola and Pepsi the next year, this will reflect in their share price. Next question is from Colin. Jake, if you were still in your role as a missile officer, how would you feel about taking orders from the current regime? I imagine there must be many personnel at the moment questioning their beliefs, the potential to being ordered to invade Canada. So when I commissioned as an officer, when I applied to join the Air Force, Barack Obama was president. Trump was then elected in 2016 and sworn into office in 2017. And he was president the entire 4 years that I served. And I didn't like it because I didn't like his personality. I didn't like his ethics or domestic policies. But I never felt like Donald Trump would ever order me to kill millions of people, launch a nuclear weapon. But to people serving in the military today, things have changed. And my advice to my fellow Americans is do not join the military while Donald Trump remains president. And if you're up for your contract renewing or you're thinking about getting out, I recommend you get out and you move on to your civilian life. Donald Trump views military members as an extension of him. He views military members as his property. And this is in violation of presidential traditions. When you have military members in uniform standing behind you, you should not be giving political or partisan speeches. You should not be attacking or criticizing your opponents. But every time Donald Trump organizes a rally that is not supposed to be political, and he has service members in uniform standing behind him, he always ends up making it political and attacking his political opponents, therefore reducing all of these service members to becoming political props to serve him. It's a tough decision. There are people serving in the military, and it's about healthcare. It's about retirement benefits. It's about living conditions. So it's hard to get out if your family is relying on you staying in. I am 100% sympathetic. So I'm going to tell people, don't join while Trump remains president. And if you were thinking about getting out someday, maybe you can make that day a little bit sooner. Hi, Jake. I don't know whether this will get over the line, but given a certain orange man is now ignoring federal judges, when is the threshold exceeded of the military personal oaths, past and present, regarding threats from within? If you weren't paying attention last week, a federal judge ordered that people being deported can't be deported without due process. We don't know who these people are on these planes. There are people who could be U.S. citizens. There are people who definitely have green cards and they're here legally. And Donald Trump is just shaving the heads and shackling and deporting random people to a black site prison in El Salvador. And they have no due process. They're not being seen or heard by a judge. They're not being given legal representation to just prove who they are. So we've already gone past the point of as soon as Donald Trump said, I'm going to ignore this judicial ruling, I'm going to ignore the judicial branch, he's officially a dictator. We're at that point, guys. So the military oath of office, or the oath of enlistment, is a solemn pledge taken by members of the U.S. military, both officers and enlisted personnel, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true faith and allegiance to it. This is a conversation that a lot of military members are having in their own head, because you can't say it out loud. Any military member who tries to post on social media, they'll be punished. But yes, privately, there are conversations being had. Donald Trump right now is violating the Constitution. Executive orders, executive signings are not even mentioned in the Constitution. So no, an executive order can't overrule the Constitution, which Donald Trump is currently trying to do with the 14th Amendment. Executive orders can't overrule an act of Congress. Congress is supreme. And executive orders cannot interpret law or refute judicial rulings from the judicial branch. This is numerous constitutional crises stacked on top of each other. There's no more evidence or proof that needs to be presented to anyone who has sworn an oath to the U.S. Constitution. We know what everyone is thinking, and Elon Musk knows what everyone's thinking. Elon Musk is currently carrying around one of his children on his head when he goes to public places because he's concerned about being assassinated. He is using one of his own children as a meat shield. This has been revealed in private texts. I forget which conservative blogger he got pregnant. He's on like child 16 now, but in the text he revealed, Elon Musk thinks he's going to be assassinated for what he's currently trying to do to America. I don't support this. I'm not going to advocate this. I'm going to advocate, once again, that people use the proper systems, keep applying pressure to Republican members of Congress. Maybe we have to wait until 2026. But Donald Trump and Elon Musk have to go. They are the greatest threat to American democracy in our 250-year history. Next question is from Donald. Hi, Jake. I am from New Zealand and don't understand U.S. politics. What's the difference between a democracy and a dictatorship if Donald Trump can rule like a dictator and seemingly get away with it? Surely there's a way the U.S. democratic system can restrain him. If so, why isn't it happening? Well, we have a series of checks and balances. Congress can impeach the president if the president acts like a dictator, and the Republicans are cowards and they won't fulfill their constitutional role. Then the judicial branch can declare presidential acts unconstitutional, but if the president is a dictator, he can just ignore the judicial branch. The judicial branch doesn't have a military. They have no way of enforcing their own court opinions. And at the moment, Donald Trump is just ignoring judicial rulings. Trump vows to be a dictator on day one. I mean, he's just doing what he said he would do. And shockingly, 30% of the country is in favor of this, in favor of a Christian nationalist state with an autocracy, an all-powerful sovereign who governs everyone and makes all decisions. A shockingly high number of Americans are in favor of this, as long as they can get rid of immigrants and trans people and stick it to the libs, get rid of the Department of Education. Like, none of this makes sense to me because I'm an educated, normal person. So we need people to protest. We need people to engage. We need people to volunteer their time. And it is happening, guys. It is growing. We're going to hit a fever pitch this summer, and I think we're going to see some amazing stuff. What we really need from ordinary Americans is for them to pay attention to special elections. Anytime a member of Congress dies, resigns, or is removed from office, usually within a couple months, the state will hold a special election to fill that seat. So at the moment, there are 3 scheduled special elections: Florida's 1st, Florida's 6th, and Arizona's 7th. And usually not many people show up to these off-season special elections. It's usually only the die-hard supporters who love voting in every election. But if ordinary people care about what's happening and you live in one of these special districts, activate. Request your absentee ballot. Volunteer. Donate. Figure out who the Democratic candidate is and find a way to support them, because we need to start picking up seats. Not just in Congress. This is for every level of government. So if you can vote in your state and local elections and just kind of figure out, are they MAGA or are they not MAGA? Can you just vote for the Democrat in the short term until the Democrats again control at least one of our branches of government so we can have real accountability for what Trump is doing? And I can give you an example. In the state of Wisconsin, this is my home state, they're having what's supposed to be nonpartisan off-season elections. In the state of Wisconsin, you don't publicly say if you're a Republican or a Democrat when you run for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but everybody knows who the Democrat and who the Republican is. So this election is coming up next week, Tuesday, April 4th. And at the moment, Elon Musk is paying $100 to anyone who will sign a petition, but really they're giving their information to go vote in Wisconsin's state Supreme Court election. So the richest man in the world is buying votes in my home state of Wisconsin, trying to influence a local election for the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. We need ordinary people to vote in these off-season elections to stop what Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing, because if they gain control of more state governments, they can then influence or rig those state elections, which will then help them stay in power forever. We're trying to avoid this. Please activate. Please get involved. Next question. Why does Trump constantly talk about annexing Canada and Greenland, despite most of his supporters not even wanting that? This is true. When you talk to Trump supporters, they don't really want to invade or annex Canada and Greenland. Some of them might be going along with it just because that's what Trump wants, but here's the polling data. Would you support or oppose Canada becoming a part of the United States? So the question doesn't even sound hostile. I mean, this could be through a Democratic vote, but I imagine these numbers would be worse for Trump if it was, do you support invading Canada? But only 36% of Americans support it, 42 are against, 22 are confused and have no clue why Donald Trump is talking about this. But even then, I don't think this 36 is genuine. I think this is MAGA, and they think that Donald Trump is some 5D chess player and he's only threatening Canada to get concessions. They don't even believe Donald Trump is serious about it. And this was a funny interaction I had the last time I was on Piers Morgan. If you didn't see this clip, it was me and General Ben Hodges debating about Ukraine and Russia with these two right-wing podcasters. And this guy, he's going to interrupt me. But then look at his face. Watch his reaction when I mention Canada and Greenland.
to all keep gap. We're trying to prevent Russia from getting stronger. And I don't care about what Russia thinks or feels. Russia is not a great power. Russia has an economy the same size roughly as Spain. Do you think Spain is a great power that the United States should respect?
Exactly, dude. Listen. We are in the business of trying to be a world empire, and we're going broke. We're $36 trillion in debt because we can't afford to do it. We've blown $8 trillion in the last 20 years on foreign wars.
Why is Donald Trump talking about invading Greenland? Why is Donald Trump talking about invading Canada?
I don't agree with that.
Why is Donald Trump talking about annexing Canada? Why is he talking about ethnic cleansing in the Gaza Strip?
Conversation.
That is empire.
You lost
the one pushing for America to be a global empire.
That's a total red herring. Total red herring. Come.
So he's saying America's going bankrupt from all of these foreign wars. No more foreign wars. Thank God we elected Donald Trump, the president of peace. And I just mentioned to him, well, then why is he talking about invading Canada, Panama? Why is he talking about Greenland and controlling the Gaza Strip? And this guy, you can see, he just looks uncomfortable. As soon as I mention that, he shakes his head, he looks down, and he says, yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't support that. But he still supports Trump. I don't know, guys. It doesn't make any sense to me. So this is about empire. What Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Xi of China are doing is they're trying to militarily ally to become the regional hegemons of their sphere of influence. And they want to redraw the maps. They want to directly control people and resources to enrich themselves. It's just about empire. And we're not going to let this happen. It's not going to happen because these people are so stupid. They will be defeated. I understand it doesn't feel like that today, but the resistance is growing. Support for the falsehoods and lies coming from Russia, China, and the United States right now. These people will be defeated. And the best way you can do that is to contribute to my latest fundraiser. We launched the latest NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade campaign 2 days ago, guys. And let me refresh this. We're already over $500,000. $501,730 has been fundraised in less than 48 hours. So I'll put the link to the launch video down below and the donation link. If you want to kick in $5, $10, or $20, it all makes a difference. We have the people power, we have the numbers, we have the majority support. We just have to make sure that we're heard and exert ourselves. So that's all for this Q&A video. I wish I had more reassuring news for you, but stick with us. This is going to be a crazy year. A lot of insane things are going to happen. But the forces of good, the forces of democracy and truth, we're currently rallying, and all these idiots will be defeated. Russia will be defeated. Okay, everyone. Till the next video, take care.